Today we have a very special automotive gem for you. This here is the first ever Audi A8, the first generation of Audi's luxury machine. Here was Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go! This very first generation that was built between 1994 and 2002. And this very vehicle here is the last one ever built in this generation. Hardly 2,500 kilometers on the clock. The Audi A8 W12 from 2002. As I said, the very last piece, and we're going to tell you all about it. Is it even better than today's luxury vehicles? We'll find out here. Look at that front design here. The front grille and the front lamps, they really form one design language unit. This is pure German Bauhaus design. Look at these really angular lines. Yes, a little bit round for aerodynamics already and so on. Aluminum space frame. At that point, with around 2 tons, it was really lighter than the Mercedes S-Class and the BMW 7 Series. Super interesting vehicle. There's more to come. And we will also tell you the secret story of the Audi A8 Coupé. But let's start with the production sedan. The first attempt in the luxury segment was the predecessor of this one, the so-called Audi V8. This one here was the first generation that was called Audi A8. And this one was also the first one that really attacked BMW and especially also Mercedes with the S-Class and the 7 Series. Here, this Audi A8 generation, the very first one called D2, was a short wheelbase, or this one here, the long wheelbase version, and here at 5 meters 16 or 203 inches. These wheels here, 20 inch. What a masterpiece, because these are also so fitting in the whole design. And look at that sideline profile. Straight, 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 straight. Everything is straight and clean. And I think that way here, yeah, we know it's from a past generation because nowadays design is more contemporary. But I think these simple design lines, that's again what it's making this car an absolute timeless piece. By the way, this one also a special extra feature. It was featured with the solar roof. Yeah, this was of course not to load any big battery, but the electric consumers and so on. So they had that idea even at that time. So would you have guessed that at the time we're shooting this vehicle, this one here is more than 20 years old? Well, you can see it, for example, here at the separate antenna. Then towards the rear, once again, it is basically the same style as in the front, really large tail lamps. And this W12 cylinder actually has an acceleration figure of 5.8 seconds. All-wheel drive. There were also front-wheel drive models available. Let's talk about the engines. Look at that when I open the hood. This very small piece there will play a role now, because I have to pull it like this, and then I can open the hood. And underneath here, this is then the 6-liter W12, 420 horsepower all-wheel drive. It drives with a 5-speed converter automatic gearbox. It came very late, just in 2001. Earlier engines for the other models were a V8, either with 3.7 or 4.2 liter of displacement, or the entry engine was a 2.8 liter V6. And 3 more deals I'd like to show you. First of all, the turning indicators. Look at that. In comparison to nowadays LED turning indicators, you can hardly see them actually. Then, real exhaust tip. No job for the Autogefühl fake exhaust police. And last but not least, this is also an original piece. This is actually the GPS sensor. And this actually ensures an inbuilt GPS system in the navigation in the front. Ooh, and look at the turning indicators here in the front. Now to the interior. That's the car key. But you can still, open and close it like this. And now the door closing sound. Just listen to this. Let's do it again. Isn't that beautiful? To me, it's even better than a nowadays door closing sound. And look at the inside of the doors first. Here is wood inlay, then microfiber. The door hinges. Take a deep look at that. Here down there, you can see the individual steps. When I close the door, this like here, it's kind of like fixed a little bit, and the next step and so on, you can see. And this really helps when there's like a lot of wind or something. Everything feels so massive with this vehicle. Steering wheel, super clean design, very slim actually, and very wide and plush seats. At that point, they only had animal skin available. Difference to the Mercedes S-Class, which had in the very early generations, for example, a hybrid leatherette already. Then here, headroom with 189 or 6'2". Some left, but not plenty of, I would say. At that point, already electric controls for the seats. This is the only thing you, by the way, feel here in a vehicle that's over 20 years old. The plastic coverings here, they come a little bit, you know, you feel it in your fingers that they dissolve a little bit. This is the one thing you feel. Everything else you see and experience is almost as, as it would be a brand new vehicle. Searching for the memory seat function? Well, here you can't miss it. Now look at the glove box. Wait for it. Bang. Kind of shoots out. Very interesting. One more time. There we go. And then we have here space under the armrest, also adjustable. And on this side here, wait for it. Bang. There we go. The phone mount. And special attention to the shifting lever. Also listen to this. And should you forget what you're driving, now you still know. Interior cockpit overview, more wooden atmosphere. You can also electronically adjust the steering wheel. Here, up and down, in and out, and so on. And here, this middle central screen, there is actually a screen already for the radio and so on. GPS would be if you put in a GPS CD for that actually. You can actually also adjust the display a little bit to the line of sight here, depending on from where you are using it. For the seat heating, we have this turning jowl here, 6 levels, also in the front. Here, below, then the climate unit with clicking sound already. Instruments, of course, the main is analog, but the middle part was already digital. Interesting technology really, that it's a solar roof, but at the same time, you can still open it. So very interesting wiring definitely behind it, and it opens quite wide. What I can also do from the front here is electronically adjust here the rear shade. Rear seats, the doors open almost 90 degrees, nice entry access. But then behind the driver's seat there's not too much space, especially you cannot really use the lying function. You can see here, I put it on this case here to showcase it. It slides forward, also a little bit more backward, and then you could also get these special headrests here. They're so large, I think a little bit oversized, I feel. Here on the side, when I push the passenger seat all the way front, then of course I have enough legroom. There are also these footrests here you can also place on the ground. And it is actually fairly comfortable here, but for a chauffeur purpose, definitely only on this side here. So when I would have the seat all the way back for a tall passenger, it's just average legroom, I would feel. Nice that here we have a lot more microfiber on the ceiling. Seat heating is right here in the middle console. Oh, look at that. 6 levels. And one thing Leah wanted to point out are these small mirrors for the passengers. About the trunk or the boot, yes, it's opened right here. We also close and open it with the key. Press it in and then just listen to this. It's nice, right? Here also with this little wobbling of the number plate. So here we go, opening it up, and you can see these vintage vehicles, they are just more square in the trunk or boot capacity, aren't they? Alright, let's drive it. W12, really rare that you can drive 12 cylinders under one hood. This vehicle here is, like engine-wise, almost brand new, so to speak. 2,500 kilometers on the clock. So the head of Audi Classic also told me that I'm not supposed to floor it out. So be a little bit gentle with it. But you immediately feel how silent and elaborated everything is. And especially when you're a passenger, you could maybe not differentiate between one modern one and this one, because this one is already so good actually. Driving wise, as a driver, you feel a massive difference. So at that point, this one already had a sportier setup suspension wise. So it was more in this sporty positioning against Mercedes and maybe even BMW. That was very interesting. Of course, from the nowadays perspective, a modern A8 is definitely more comfortable and definitely way sportier without losing comfort. Here the suspension is rather settling on this rather floaty ride. The steering is actually astonishingly responsive. So nowadays ones are more progressive in the steering, but definitely you get a very good feeling for the car. It's also very comfortable from the seating position and so on. And this rather classic Bauhaus building style from the chassis and the window setup and so on really helps you in the whole orientation. You can really see where the car is ending. So that rather classic design really gives you, in a way, a better feeling of the vehicle. And what I also find quite cool is that although it's a large vehicle, you don't really feel it's that large. As I said, it's actually pretty light considering this segment. Here we go, outside the roundabout, once again, accelerating out a little bit. Yeah, I can accelerate it, just, not flooring it really. But this W12, it's so effortless. You don't really hear and feel so much actually. At the same time, the power is always there. There is also the S shifting mode, and the vehicle tends to go, one downshift earlier and so on, and upshift later. So you can do that to make the ride a little bit sportier. The suspension is not adaptive as the new ones that you can set the sporty driving mode and then become stiffer and so on. This has been recent technology, so this is definitely a big difference. But the cool thing to me is this effortlessness. Here, feel S mode, a little bit more RPM, normal D mode, go a little bit lower again. So it is a great cruiser actually. And here we are at 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour, and it's so extremely silent. So I think that is, to me, probably the most astonishing thing, that it is already that silent at that point, although it's 20 years old. When the road is getting a little bit narrower and so on, you feel you have to work the car a little bit more. So this, to me, definitely the biggest difference, that a modern A8, as I said in the beginning, is just so much sportier, and you can put so much more speed on the road with the modern A8. So in that comparison, it rather feels like a sports car. Yeah, I can almost say. So here we can also overtake this. Let's say it's just for safety. When you're going over hills, sometimes you cannot see what's ahead of you. Okay, interesting. Yeah, he's enjoying that landscape here. I mean, it's a really beautiful landscape here, just outside of Ingolstadt. But here, once again, on the gas, and although it's just a 5-speed automatic transmission, you don't feel the transitions that hardly. It's a very smooth transition between the individual gears there. Here, look at the steering once again. Here, I don't have any dead zone areas, so every degree of steering is also transported to the road. So it is a little bit deceiving, because really from the comfort and the noise insulation, it feels like a modern A8. But then when you're a little bit quicker in the corner and you suddenly realize, oh, I'm driving that quick, and then you feel, okay, it doesn't have that modern driving agility. Definitely, once again, talking on a very high niveau, on a very high level. There we go, nice overtaking maneuver. You hardly hear anything from the engine, so it's also very well insulated to the engine. And does it give you like a vintage car feeling? Definitely not. This feels like driving a modern vehicle. So from the outside, absolutely timeless. And in that respect, you can say, also the driving experience is really timeless. And we have another unique piece for you here today. This vehicle here was built as a show car for 1997. This is actually the A8 Coupé, also first generation based. It was not built from series production because then they thought, it's too expensive, doesn't really pay off. So the accountants basically canceled the project. But for the beauty itself, it's definitely worth to take a look at. Here, of course, then with no B pillar, there is actually the sedan behind it, just from the chassis. They then just, hand built this vehicle here as one of a piece showcase. Everyone loved it design-wise. Yeah, but once again, there also needs to be an economic reason to build it. By this, you can directly take a look here at the interior. Look at that when all the windows are down. And they have taken some parts from the S models then. For example, here the sportier seats and also the steering wheel. So also a very impressive look on the interior. What do you think? Should they have built this one here? And how do you like the A8 in the first generation overall? Tell me in the comments. And now compare it to the very first Mercedes S-Class.